YT660, The Answer.
Welcome to What's the Score, a series solely dedicated to the support of Central Florida's small business and entrepreneurs. Donated as a community service by AM660 The Answer and Salem Communications. Now, here's Christopher Hart and Rich Jaeckle.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to What's the Score? Thank you for joining us. I am Christopher Hart of the American Adversaries radio show, and I'm here today with Rich Jaeckle of SCORE Orlando. Now, later on, we're going to be joined by John Cheek of Orlando Brewing Company, but for right now, it's going to be Rich and I, and we're here to help you find the winning combination to make your business as successful as possible. Folks, this is the first edition of the only show of its kind.
First edition.
Only show of its kind in Central Florida, maybe in the whole country. It is being brought to you on and by AM660 The Answer, and we very much appreciate that. Now, folks, we are live today and local, so if you have a question or comment, please do call us. So the number is 407-774-8255. That's 407-774-8255. Now, folks, this is a show about and for businesses primarily. It's about what makes them succeed and, perhaps even more importantly, sometimes what makes them fail. And more importantly, where you can find help to avoid the pitfalls and take advantage of tools that you may not even know exist. Now, that's where Rich Jaeckle of SCORE Orlando comes in. Rich, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
Pretty good. How's it feel to be on radio first radio show?
I'll tell you, we should have like bands and stuff playing in the background and champagne and things like that. But all we've got is samples of beer. Which, by the way,
that's just too bad, isn't it?
Which, by the way, if you phone in, you can't have one.
Okay, all right. Now we have Jim Turner on the other side of the glass, so we do have. We are in expert hands here this afternoon. Okay. Or excuse me, this morning, I should say. And I'm used to doing an afternoon show. So.
Yes, you are.
All right. So, first of all, Rich, there's probably a lot of people out there who what do they mean, what's the score? So what is SCORE?
SCORE is a nonprofit organization, national organization, that is actually counselors for small business, America's small business. We have over 10,000 members across the U.S. We have about 400 offices across the U.S., and most people don't even know about us. It's the best hidden secret I think we've got, and it's free.
All right. Now, how did it get started?
Well, it was started in 1963 by a group of retired executives in California who wanted to give back to their local business community. So they started teaching new businesses how to succeed, and it just took off from there.
Who actually runs SCORE? Is there a hierarchy?
There is. They're in Washington, actually, and that's where our corporate headquarters are. But in Orlando here, where we have about 60 consultants, counselors, we are run by an executive committee, of which I am a part.
Okay. First of all, and I want to get to your local office here, but first of all, where can people find out more about SCORE?
Well, the best place to go is the national website, which is score.org, and the local website, which is orlando.score.org.
Okay, that's pretty simple. Score.org for the national overall picture and orlando.score.org for the local picture.
Right, and the local, you can get ideas on seminars when they're being given, and on what topics, and get information on all the local seminars. And on the national website, you can get templates, for instance, for writing a business plan, or for doing your financials. You can just get a template and fill it in online and then print it out for yourself.
Now, do you also offer templates or at least guidance where to get, say, a template to form an LLC or an S corporation or something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you go to the national SCORE.
Okay. All right, let's talk for a second about the local office because it's unique and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful complex. It's right over there in Orlando Fashion Square.
Right.
And it's really nice. Tell us why it's there and what it has to offer.
Well, we used to be located on Lake Eola in a landmark building, and we moved from there here about 3 years ago out to Fashion Square Mall. It actually is a house or an umbrella for 11 different service organizations, community service organizations. SCORE is one of them. The HBIF, the Hispanic Business Initiative Fund, is another one. The Hispanic Chamber, the African American Chamber, Disabilities Chamber, just to name a few.
Can anyone go in there?
Absolutely.
What are the hours?
Yes, it's 9 to 5 daily, Monday through Friday.
And it's in the section of Fashion Square that's sort of squeezed in between Penny's and Sears, more or less there.
Yeah, right straight across from the parking garage.
Yeah, that's.
You go in the parking garage, you'll see this building with vines all painted all over it, and the vines are to represent growth.
Now, you mentioned that people can find out about seminars. Is this where the seminars would be held?
They are.
Because you have a beautiful theater there, you have meeting rooms there.
That's right.
And now, what if I'm a business person and I walk in the doors over there at SCORE and Fashion Square? What should I expect to happen?
Well, first of all, if you're an experienced business person, you want to come in and get some counseling. Let's say you want to expand your business, like John Cheek, who's going to be our featured guest in a little bit here, would like to expand his business and get more information on that. That's a counselor would sit down with you and say, okay, here's what we should expect. Here's what it's going to cost you, et cetera, et cetera. So it may be a series of different counseling sessions. In other words, it's just not one and done. You can hang on with the same mentor, like John and I have been working together for about a year. You can hang on to the same mentor for as long as it takes to get your problem fixed.
Now, does SCORE have such a pool of mentors that they can more or less custom fit one to the type of business that someone wants to start or has?
Absolutely. We try to do that all the time. Yeah, if I have a lot of beer drinking experience, so they put me with Orlando Brewing, and it's worked out very, very well.
You were the logical fit for that one. And, of course, we're going to talk to John here shortly about his experiences with SCORE and his experiences overall as a business person. And, folks, you can be a part of the show today, too, if you have any questions or comments, 407-774-8255. We are live today. Just as a program note now, we will be airing, once again, next Saturday, but we won't be live next Saturday because it's going to be 4th of July weekend. Rich is going to be out of town. So we're going to tape the show. So if you'd like to ask or make a comment, today would be the opportune time to do it, or you're going to have to wait a couple of weeks. So once again, 407-774-8255 is the number. Rich, also, you mentioned that this is free.
Yes. It's free, yeah. The counseling is free. The seminars, we charge a minimal amount. It's $30 usually, but that goes for the free service of SCORE because we're a nonprofit and we only generate funds from donations or seminars.
Okay, so how many people are involved here locally with SCORE?
About 60.
Now, that's at the SCORE offices, is the SCORE people themselves.
Okay. Right.
How many people locally is SCORE working with right now?
Oh, my God. Through the year, we usually have, probably 3,000 or 4,000 that come in. And right now, active-wise, I think we have probably 20 or 30.
Okay. How long does normally the experience last with, say, I walk into SCORE and I say, I have this retail shop over here on such and such avenue and I'm doing pretty good, but I want to expand. What should I expect the experience to involve?
Well, first of all, if you walk in and you have no business, you just have an idea, then we recommend you attend the seminar. That's what the seminar is for.
Okay.
To get an idea, and that will actually be part of your homework, which, by the way, is the topic of our next segment here.
That's right.
Your homework. So we recommend that. But if you are an experienced business person with, marketing, you need some marketing help or something like that, then we will schedule you with a marketing counselor.
All right. You've mentioned seminars a couple of times. How often do these take place?
Oh, goodness. There's probably about 20 seminars a month.
Okay, so people wouldn't have to wait.
Variety of different things.
And so people wouldn't have to wait long before they could begin to take advantage of the seminars and the advice that they would reach there. Okay, excellent. And once again, this is right over here at Fashion Square.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And as I said earlier, folks, this is the first edition of What's the Score? And
yeah, Chris, I wanted to say something about that.
Yeah, go right ahead.
We call it What's the Score? Now some people, it's not a baseball score thing, but I was thinking, nobody pronounces my name right.
Rich Jaeckle?
Yeah, they say Rich Jaeckle or Rich Jaeckle, as Paul says. So I was thinking maybe we ought to change the name of the show to Dr. Jaeckle and Mr. Hart.
People would tune in thinking they're listening to some old live radio show.
There you go.
Saturday morning horror show.
Yeah. Well, if the shoe fits.
Of course, sometimes feel like, they are living a horror show when they get into a business and they haven't done their homework. And, and all of a sudden they're hit with a lot of problems that they could have known about ahead of time but did not anticipate. And we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later on here in the show. But just to give you a rundown, folks, each week we'll start out with a little discussion to open it up between Rich and I, and then we'll have what we're going to call Keys to Success feature, where we're going to focus on one thing that many business owners either do or don't do enough, which leads to their success and or failure. And then the second half of the show will focus on someone that SCORE has worked with or someone who would like to work with SCORE. So if you would like to be a part of all of this, you can contact Rich. And Rich, how do they do that? Your email address or your number?
Yeah, you just call the SCORE office, which is 407-420-4844, and they can contact me.
Okay. All right. And we have a caller on the line, but we're coming up on the break. So, I tell you what, let's go ahead and go to Bill. We have a minute left, so we'll at least get this started. Bill, thank you for calling this morning.
Yes, thank you.
We appreciate you being out there. And if you go ahead and turn your radio down and then your question, please.
Sorry, okay, I may put it on mute here.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Yes, first I want to congratulate the SCORE on having this as the premier edition, like you said at the beginning there, and I'll definitely have a beer with Rich, because a couple of weeks ago, that's what he wanted to do.
This is BYOB,
Yeah, thank you, Bill. We appreciate it.
Okay, well, my question to Rich is when I talked to him, I don't know if I can mention the name of the company that I'm with or not, but we were talking about selling silver and stuff like that. We basically now divided our clients or prospects into two areas. One is baby boomers like me and Rich and stuff like that. The other are the millennials, which is the two partners I have. They're under 30, 32 right now. And so what I asked Rich is, I see a lot of ads on TV now with the big, silver and gold companies selling gold and silver and blah, 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 and IRAs and stuff like that. And, they can put them in the IRAs. But how will we approach the millennials? Because they don't have IRAs. They don't have jobs. How can we approach them? But one thing I did tell Rich is that we do have no minimum amount that they have to buy. Anybody can basically afford, like right now, $20 for an ounce of silver.
All right. Well, let's ask Rich. We'll be talking much more about this type of thing in the future, but basically he's talking a marketing type question. How do you market different demographic groups?
Right.
Generally speaking, the demographics that you're talking about are heavy social media, which means they do all their business on their iPads and phones and stuff like that. The traditional media is no longer a vehicle for marketing. So, first of all, I would recommend that you get an appointment with a SCORE counselor, that marketing is their particular forte, and then they can help you and draft a marketing plan that would actually target that group.
Bill, I've got to go to a break, but I want to thank you for the question because
thank you.
It's a perfect question because it just begins to lay out exactly all of the myriad of things that SCORE has to offer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks for calling, Bill.
And as I said, for instance, he needs help in marketing. So you go in there to SCORE and you say, I need some help in marketing.
Right.
And you get it. Or if say, I go in there and say, I need some help with my social network. Can you help me with that? So,
yes, I can't help you with your social life, but I can help you with your social network.
I don't think there's any hope for my social life.
Exactly.
That's why I'm doing radio 7 days a week and loving every minute of it.
That's what my wife says. I have a face for radio.
There you go. You're in the right place here, then, buddy. All right, folks, you are in the right place, too, because you are listening to What's the Score, the premiere edition of the brand new show brought to you by AM 660 The Answer and on AM 660 The Answer. And it's to help you succeed in business, or if you don't have a business, just to have the knowledge to know what you would need to start one, or the knowledge that you know what to need to understand why people who are in business do what they do and how they do it. Okay, so stick around. When we come back, we're going to have a lot more, and we're going to bring in John Jaeckle of Orlando Brewing Company. Okay, welcome back to What's the Score? And thank you for being with us this morning here in fine, beautiful summer morning here in Central Florida. I am Christopher Hart, and I'm joined in the studio this morning by Rich Jaeckle of SCORE. And there's the cheering and the applause for the premiere, the
audience.
First edition of What's the Score. And, of course, once again, we want to thank all the great folks at Salem Communications and AM 660 The Answer for making this show possible. And you can be a part of the show, too, 407-774-8255. Now, folks, if you would like to take advantage of SCORE and the services and all the advice and the mentorship that they have to offer, you can go to orlando.score.org. That's for the Orlando local office. Or if you just want to find out about the organization general, just go to score.org. Also, you can give them a call at 407-420-4844.
And now, Chris, might I just say that it's not just for helping businesses, but if you wish to be a volunteer to help businesses yourself, you need to give us a call, and you go through an interview to make sure your background covers that. And we'd love to have more and more counselors, as many as we can get.
And there's only one thing more satisfying than building and having a successful business of your own, and that is helping someone else do it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And passing that along, because so many good things come of it. And it really is the foundation of what makes the United States of America great, is its spirit of entrepreneurship. Yep. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about now. As I said, each week we'll do a feature that we're going to call Keys to Success. And some of these keys you may think you already know. Some of them may be totally alien to you. But before you even start a business, one of the biggest keys to success is
doing your homework.
What do you mean,
listeners? Do your homework. Don't just think my product's going to sell itself. It doesn't.
How do you mean exactly doing my homework?
Okay, do some research. Who is your target market? What is the market? Like Bill that called in before, he's looking for the millenniums. Who are you looking for? And what areas do you want to sell into? What demographics? What money caliber, for instance? Or if you're a lawn mowing service or something like that, a gardening service, which area are lucrative that have lots of gardens and things like that? You see where I'm going?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've... our radio show is a business. I've had a couple of other businesses, and I must admit I never approached them that way. I approached the business is like, say, if I'm a landscaper, what do I need to do landscaping? In other words, what equipment do I need?
A lawnmower.
Well, exactly. What equipment am I going to need? What kind of permits am I going to need? Am I going to need help? In other words, I'm thinking of actually physically doing the business. You're thinking of making the sales that'll make the business succeed.
There you go.
So if I haven't also done that, I'm setting myself up for failure.
Absolutely. A good cook does not mean a good business. Because if you're in the back cooking all the time, who's out there bringing business in? And how do they know about it?
All right, I want to bring in our guest right now, John Jaeckle of Orlando Brewing Company. Welcome to the show, John. Thanks for being here on our inaugural cruise.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very proud to be here.
How long have you been in business?
Orlando Brewing, we've had our doors open for a little over 8 years now.
Is this your first business?
It is my second business. The first one was a company called Liquid Bread, which has something to do with beer, but it was a little cap for making carbonated beverages.
All right. Well, this is obviously a product. All right. So obviously you need to know something about how to make the product. Did you approach your business sort of the way I did? In other words, you focused on how to make the product and then you thought about how to sell it? Or did you do the other way first, or sort of do them both together?
Well, it was more of a more of a passion, more of an accident waiting to happen. I was in business with a partner. He was a 75% owner. I was a 25% owner. That'll never happen again. But
one day we'll talk about partnerships, because it is.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, because that can be oftentimes good and can oftentimes be very disastrous. But go ahead.
But the point that I'm really trying to make is I know what a good beer is supposed to taste like. I don't necessarily know how to make it. So you've got to hire people that know how to do what it is that you want to do. One of the problems that my partner had was that he didn't want any help. And if you don't want any help, well, I can't help you. And so it was a very dysfunctional relationship. So when he finally ran out of money, in order for me to get my equipment back, I had to pay the back rent, which was not one of those anticipations that you keep $20,000 in the bank for.
Well, I guess I can presume that you did not go to SCORE from the outset of your business.
You're absolutely correct.
What guided you to SCORE? How did you find out about them, and what made you make the decision to take advantage of it?
I'm on the board of the Downtown South Main Street program, and it has to do with economic development and getting businesses to help each other. And we had a presentation by Maria, and she came in, did the presentation, and I'm sitting there going, well, I'm just now to the point where I can afford marketing. And so I gave them a call, and I told them, requested that I have somebody that liked beer. It's easier to talk to people when they're drinking with you. Right, Rich?
Oh, absolutely, John. You get no quarrel from me on that one.
Knew right where to go from there.
Absolutely. There wasn't even a choice in the matter. She just said, Rich, you got a new customer.
Now, he put himself at great jeopardy, though. Actually, starting
working
the business.
with me, or
we'll find out about that. But I mean, basically, starting the business without doing his full share of homework.
That's what we're talking about.
I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but am I safe in saying that?
I am. The reason that I'm here is to help people do things that I wasn't able to do.
All right. In other words, avoid some of the mistakes that you may have made.
Exactly. That's right. The whole point. That's why Rich asked me to come, because I have a lot of pitfalls.
Yeah. And you mentioned that your business is a passion with you.
Absolutely.
And for a lot of us, it is. For instance, my radio show is a passion with me. And sometimes that can work to your advantage, and sometimes it can work against you. And especially if you haven't done your homework, Rich.
I agree 100%, and that's what we try to drum into people's heads when they come in and say, well, again, I make a good cupcake, therefore I want to start a business.
Right.
Well, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Who are you going to sell to? What's your market strength? What's your competition? How are you going to get recognized, and why should I buy from you?
Now, you wanted to start this first episode, this first edition of the show, with homework. Is that one of the more common failings that people engage in?
Yes, they walk in, they have no idea about running a business. They know how to
make a product or do a service.
Yeah, make a product or do a service, but they don't know how to sell it and what they're looking for and who to target, etc. And even most of the time, what to charge.
And, of course, that is where SCORE comes in.
Well, that's where SCORE comes in to suggest that they, do your homework. What are your competitors charging for this service?
All right.
Okay, and what will the market bear? And where is your market? Is it local? Is it national? Is it internet?
Okay. So when somebody comes in to you with a new business, you can help them with their homework. Now, obviously, a lot of people that come to you already have established businesses. Can you sort of retroactively then go through the homework with them?
Yeah, most of them want to expand or something, and they never defined their market. So they don't know how to grow it because they don't know who their best clients are.
So even if you
where they're making their money.
So even if you have a functioning business, even if it's making a profit, you can still do some homework that'll help you make a better profit.
Absolutely, and John is here to talk about that.
And that's what we're going to do in the second half of the show.
That's right.
All right, now we're coming up on the break, and after the news, we will be back, and we are live, folks. So if you would like to make a comment, as Bill did earlier, or ask a question as he did, give us a call at 407-774-8255. That's 407-774-8255. And remember, folks, if you would like to find out more about SCORE, and by the way, you can sign up for a newsletter that you will get to find out what's going on at SCORE and all the new things that are happening, and such as that. You can go to orlando.score.org, or you can give them a call over there at 407-420-4844. And remember, they're not just looking for people that they can help, but they are also looking for people who can help. And so if you're out there and you're a successful business person, whether you're retired or still active, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's why we SCORE, the acronym, used to stand for Service Corps of Retired Executives. We had to change that because not all of us are retired.
All right. Okay, so folks, you can get active and retired business mentorship at SCORE, and you can get more of this good radio show after this short break. And don't forget, folks, we are live, so stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back to the only show of its kind, and that is What's the Score? I am Christopher Hart, and I'm joined this morning by Rich Jaeckle of SCORE Orlando, and we are talking about businesses, and in particular some of the pitfalls that are out there for new businesses and established businesses, and we're talking this morning with John Cheek of Orlando Brewing Company. Folks, this is the first edition of a brand new show, and this is the best part about it. The only show of its kind.
Yeah.
No one else is doing a show like this. And it is so very needed. I mean, this is something that a lot of people need, you know. There's a lot of people out there, even if they're working for someone, almost everyone has in the back of their mind that idea, you know, I'd like to have my own business. I would like to do this. I would like to do that.
Right.
But oftentimes, you know, it's a daunting thought, and it's scary. And it doesn't have to be, folks. You can find great help out there that can help you work this thing
for free.
For free. And it's SCORE, and they have a great headquarters right here in Orlando. Now, how many of these headquarters like you have in Orlando are there?
I think there's only 3 left.
In the country.
It's called the Entrepreneur Center, National Entrepreneur Center, and it houses community service organizations. So it's a one-stop shop. You can go in there and get help from the Small Business Development Center or SCORE or Hispanic Business Initiative Fund, etc. Just walk in and see the receptionist, and she will direct you to the Community Service Bureau that you need.
All right. And once again, you can find out more about SCORE at score.org or orlando.score.org. Or you can give them a phone call at 407-420-4844. As I said, we are live this week, and the number here this morning is 407-774-8255. We will be taping next week's show, but we have a guest next week already lined up, Mike McBath.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, and of course, he is currently the president of the NFL Retired Players Association.
That's right.
He's a union boss, as he likes to say.
and the co-founder of the Predators.
Orlando Predators. He, along with baseball great Dave Johnson.
Right.
Davey Johnson brought the Orlando Predators to Central Florida. And he has reached out to SCORE because, being the president of the Players Union, the Retired Players Union, you know, a lot of these guys retire from the NFL and all they've ever known in their life is football.
That's right.
And if they don't...
knocking heads.
Exactly. And they need guidance, you know. So, folks, people from all walks of life go to SCORE.
Right.
All right. And speaking of people who go to SCORE, we have one gentleman in our studio with us right now. His name is John Cheek, and John Cheek is the owner-operator of Orlando Brewing Company. And, John, as we were talking in the previous segment, this company of yours was started as a partnership and as a passion, and you sort of dove in to the deep water, so deep into the pool, didn't you?
Well, it was more like being shoved in.
But that's where you found yourself.
And you know, when I look back on it, it's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it's not something that I would have gone out of my way to do. And the fact that I was forced into it, and the fact that I was looking out for my own interests, that we are successful today.
All right. Now, he mentioned being forced into it. Rich, let me just, as a quick tangent, go off on this. How many people come to SCORE because they have to? I mean, they lost a good-paying job, and then suddenly they can't find that, but they begin to turn to the business community and the entrepreneurship to answer their financial needs.
Yeah, during the 2004, I guess, when we went through the real estate crisis, was it?
2008.
2008.
Yeah.
God, time flies. Anyway, we had a lot of that where people were being laid off and they couldn't sell their homes and they were underwater on their mortgages and they wanted to start a business. So my first question always would be, well, what can you do? And some of them would say, well, what's the best business to go into?
Yeah.
Well, folks, we can't tell you what the best business. And John is proof of this. John Cheek here, he started a brewing business where there was none. But we can't tell you where to make money or else we'd all be retired and make money.
Well, in a way, I'm glad you brought that up because, folks, when you go to SCORE, you're not always going to hear what you want to hear. It's not going to be a cheerleading session. You can do this, rally. This is going to be the real ins and outs of business.
Yeah, these are experienced business executives, so they're going to tell you the way it is, that this is a bad idea, or like restaurants, for instance, have the highest fail rate of any business in the United States.
And we'll be
Why is that?
We'll be featuring that on one of our Keys to Success episodes, features coming up. But, John, I want to go back to you. You found yourself in the deep end of the pool. You were pushed in there. You were in a pretty precarious situation. How were you aware of that, and is that why you ended up going to SCORE?
Well, actually, the reason I ended up going to SCORE is I'm trying to expand rather dramatically.
Okay.
And I needed to find out from somebody that was, not me.
Right.
That was
somebody
objective.
Somebody who'd been there, done that, and it was going to be realistic with you.
To see if it's possible.
When you went to SCORE, were they just straightforward with you? This is what you need to do, X, Y, and Z?
Absolutely. And I found out that my business is in better shape than I thought.
So it wasn't necessarily,
no, it wasn't gloom and doom at all,
right.
Actually. We were surprised. He looked like a downtrodden poor guy, and we go in and find out, well, wait, this isn't bad.
All right. Well, I've heard of Deltona and I've heard of DeLand, but it looks like we have a caller today from Denver, so we want to thank you for listening out there. Andrew, thank you for calling.
Thank you very much. Yes, I was calling to be able to maybe help out or contribute something regarding insects and rodents and so on, termites, to your talk show, and offer our services, which we cover extensively throughout all of Florida, from the Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi border, all the way down to the Keys.
Well, I appreciate that you called to tell us that. We're not really set up to do direct marketing
commercials
for you, but let me ask you this. Do you work with SCORE? Are you familiar with the SCORE organization?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about my timing of calling. I didn't know exactly what's going on your radio, and I was just calling to contribute and help out if there was any way that anybody had questions or anything regarding rodent and pest control.
Okay. All right. Well, Andrew, we appreciate the call, and thank you very much. And it just goes to show you that there are business people out there who are looking and trying hard to get their message out. But probably a more effective way to do it would be to call SCORE and go to SCORE.
Yeah. I think that guy was my son.
All right. Let's go back to John. By the way, folks, you can be a part of the show today, too. 407-774-8255. We're talking about some of the pitfalls of businesses, and one of the main ones is not doing your homework. Now, John was able to overcome that and went to SCORE in order to expand your business.
Absolutely.
And they basically, did they help you more or less reorganize?
It had more to do with justification of what I'm doing. To be very honest with you, it really had to do with
cost justification.
Me being able to say that yes, I'm on the right track, and that was really a nice thing. When Bill and Rich sat down with me, I was a little apprehensive. I'm showing them all my numbers and everything, and they come back and they go, "Well, this doesn't look too bad."
Yeah.
And I'm kind of relieved. I know I'm making money because I'm still in business. But, I was a finance major 40 years ago. Rich is a finance major today.
So and then that's another good thing about SCORE is you guys are right up to the latest tools, I should say, I guess. For instance, I went to your BizFest several weeks ago, and one of the seminars that was presented there was about the social media. And so many businesses, and I must admit I'm guilty of this, do not fully take advantage of what the social media has to offer.
Right. I am not an expert in social media, but we do have expertise there that can actually guide you. Social media is free. So in the old days, you used to put away a marketing budget that was hundreds of thousands of dollars for a large corporation.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can do it for basically nothing. So these businesses can get a good start on their marketing.
And that's the whole idea with SCORE, is they have people who are experts in whichever field that you are weak in.
That's right.
So that they can help you get up to speed. And it's free. I mean, how can you go wrong?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back now to the phone lines and go to Sherry. Sherry, thank you for calling.
Well, hey, Chris, congratulations on your new show.
Well, it's not my new show, but I'm.
Oh, honey, I know that.
I'm very happy that you are listening. Thank you for that.
Are you his one and only listener?
She is.
I want to continue on my tradition.
She's one of my favorites.
Calling your show, each show. I called you on your first show.
You did.
Oh, good.
And I just want to let you know that everything you and Lair and Dennis and Carl and Sultan and Mickey and all the other guys.
John, don't leave out John.
Everything you guys do,
yeah.
John Butler Book,
yeah.
All you guys, this station, everything you touch, Chris, turns to gold.
All right, well, I appreciate that, and the fact that you have called in on the first editions of each of our drive time and our Sunday night show. I'm now guaranteed that we will succeed.
Absolutely,
you have given it the blessing.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys are really great, and you do a service for the community, and I just appreciate listening. I just wish when you talked about the show the other day, you didn't say what time you were coming on.
Well, I thought I did, but I will be sure. I will be sure that we will do more of that this week. But yeah, thank you very much, Sherry. And of course, we want to also thank the great folks here at Salem Communications, because if they didn't allow this sort of show and the other shows that they present here, and as Sherry said, we got a great lineup here. Jim Turner also has a great show that he does on one of our sister stations, 1520 WBZW. I mean, the advantages of radio getting the message out are just as strong today as they ever were. All right, so when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. You can join us as well, so please do not go away. We got more of What's the Score? Okay, welcome back to the first edition of the brand new and entirely unique show, What's the Score? Designed to help you find the winning combination for your business, whether it's already in operation or you're just thinking of starting one. I am Christopher Hart, and I'm joined in the studio by Rich Jaeckle of SCORE Orlando, and we are also joined by John Cheek of Orlando Brewing Company, who is a beneficiary of the services of SCORE Orlando. And John, before we took that last phone call, and by the way, folks, we are live. If you would like to call, 407-774-8255 is the number. This is an hour-long show, so this will be the final segment of today's show. We will be doing it again next Saturday, but we will be taping that show because it is 4th of July weekend. We will be having Mike McBath, one of the original owner group of the Orlando Predators. And John, I want to go back to you. Since you worked with SCORE, what have been the results?
Well, I have a better understanding of what's going on. I've been able to focus on the project at hand, knowing that it's a financial possibility is very important, and I think that with having SCORE, it just it makes my life easier because I know I'm headed in the right direction.
Well, let me back up just for a second. How long ago did you start working with SCORE?
I guess about a year. About a year ago.
Have you seen financial results to prove it?
We're working on a special project.
I see.
I'm getting ready to expand the brewery, and we're looking at the different permutations of what can be done, what can't be done.
Okay. So this is an example of an existing business doing his homework in order to expand that business. Would that be fair to say?
Finally doing my homework.
Is that fair to say it that way, Rich?
That's fair to say, but that was only part of John's problem. What was your big pitfall early on?
The big pitfall has been funding, and it's always funding.
Isn't it always? Yeah.
You have to prioritize. You have to figure out what it is you want to do. And part of the reason that when Score and Rich and Bill first looked at my numbers, they didn't look too good because every bit of money that I had coming in was going right back out to buy more equipment, buy more kegs, buy more raw materials, just to keep the business going.
Rich, does Score offer funding, or do they tell you how you can seek it out?
We generally work with the local banks regarding funding. No, we do not offer funding. We do not have a funding arm per se.
But you would help someone find the funding.
We can, yeah. The SBA is the typical Small Business Administration, is the typical fund provider for our group.
Okay. And specifically the topic of funding we will be focusing on.
We will be doing another show on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of these things that we're touching on here this morning, we will be doing shows featuring those things.
That's right.
There are a lot of keys to success and pitfalls that will lead you to failure.
Right.
And so you feel comfortable then, John, going ahead with your plans to expand, given what you've worked with Rich and the guys over this past year.
Absolutely. We're in kind of a transition period, going from having no money to all of a sudden having a positive cash flow to having money coming in. A lot of positive things are happening with the business. In fact, we just did our list yesterday, our 985th batch of beer. When we do our 1,000th batch of beer, which is in maybe 2.5 weeks, we're going to do a special beer, but the name of it is Breaking Black, and I don't know. It comes from the olden days when people were in the red and they were in the black. And Orlando Brewing, we've finally gotten to the point where we're in the black. So the beer, Breaking Black.
All right. Real quickly, do you have a website where people can find out more about your business?
Oh, we do. It's orlandobrewing.com.
And you are located right here in Orlando, I presume in the south end of town, since you mentioned earlier you're on that board down there.
We are just south of downtown. We are right across the railroad tracks, west of the railroad tracks from the Orlando Amtrak Center.
Are you a retailer or a wholesaler?
We are both. We have a small little bar there where people can come in and taste the beers, buy the beers, and leave with the beers. And we also sell through distribution. Florida Distributing is our local distributor, and most of the Budweiser distributors down south and on the West Coast have our beers also.
You sell it by the bucket, too, don't you?
We sell it by the growler.
Oh,
gallon
okay.
growler. It used to be a bucket. Used to be a bucket. Now it's just a gallon jug or a quart jug.
From the 20s.
Rich, I want to ask you this. Obviously, he is a retailer of, a beer. Do you have any businesses that you ever refuse to help?
That's an interesting question.
As long as it's legal, they can come to you for advice.
Yes, that's good. As long as it's legal.
Yeah.
I did have one that I can't mention over the radio that I could not help. And I'm going to leave that right where it is.
That leaves a lot of possibilities for jokes, but we'll
let's just say it was two women that stopped in.
Okay. And discretion was the better part of valor that day, right?
Yeah, running.
All right. We just have a few minutes left, so let's go to the phone lines with our very own Nostradamus. Nostradamus is the producer of the American Adversary Show. Nostradamus.
Hi, guys, and can I quote Benjamin Franklin?
Yes, you can.
Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Amen, Dennis.
Yeah, too bad he didn't actually say that. He said that about wine. But
okay, close enough.
But he was an aficionado of a nice porter.
Yes, but he did mean it about beer. He said it about wine, but he meant beer.
He was probably speaking to a Frenchman at the time. But.
Yeah, exactly.
Nostradamus, what are you up to this morning?
Well, today at the Barnes & Noble downtown, that is on Colonial right off of Bumby, it's going to be another celebrity book signing. I know recently we've had Greg Gutfeld there. Charles Krauthammer was there. Last year, George the Animal Steele was there. Well, today, one of the Duck Dynasty guys, one of the brothers of the beard, Jace Robertson, is going to be there to promote and sign and sell his new book, and it's called Good Call.
All right.
Hey, like it.
So you're heading on over there to check out old Jace Robertson, huh?
I sure am. I'm interested to see whether there'll be a big tour bus out front or whether he's going to have his camo limo out there.
All right, that'll be a lot of fun. Hey, thanks, Nostradamus, and
thanks for calling.
I'll try to bebop by there after the show. I'll run into you there.
All right, see ya.
I'm glad he brought up this Duck Dynasty thing. Because now there is a rags to riches story. It still happens in the United States of America. And I read the old man's book, Phil Robertson's book, and he writes about how he started the business. And basically, he would go duck hunting. And he'd go down to the local store and he'd buy a duck call, but it didn't call the ducks. What it did do was make the person who made it a lot of money because nobody else, in other words, there was a group of people who made duck calls. And mainly they made them to compete with one another in the national duck calling contest where they would blow them, in a contest against one another. But they were virtually useless in calling ducks out in the wild. So Phil Robertson actually made a duck call that would actually call ducks. And he began to go around and sell it. And he kind of did his homework as he was marketing it because that's when he found out who he was up against and why they made their duck calls the way he couldn't understand why anybody would make a duck call that wouldn't call a duck.
So he spoke duck.
And these guys went rags to riches. It's a great, this can happen still in the United States of America, can't it, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, like the hula hoop. The hula hoop is still being used today.
Yeah.
Oh, the pet rock. That's my favorite.
That was mine.
Well, and it kind of gets back to you with the brewing company. And Nostradamus mentioned Ben Franklin. Back in the founding of this country, back in those days, people drank beer because the water was too nasty to drink.
That's right.
Correct.
And today, that's not why we drink it. But it's still, it's a product that's always going to be on the shelves. So if somebody can come up with a new better tasting one, there's a potential market out there, and you're proof of that.
And that's why I'm here. I have a better tasting product.
And once again, where can they find you on the web?
They can find us at orlandobrewing.com.
And
what upcoming events do you have?
We actually have a fundraiser, Hops for Hope, tomorrow.
Hops for Hope.
It's a leukemia fundraiser.
Oh,
and we take
great.
donations at the.
Where is this going to be?
Tomorrow at the brewery, 1301 Atlanta Avenue, 32806, for those that have a Google expertise.
And anyone's welcome?
Absolutely.
What
and
time?
Also, Sundays are dog days, 2 to 6. We open at 1 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we open at 3 every other day.
Sundays are dog days.
Sundays are to bring your dog.
Oh.
And, it's really funny. Some dogs don't get along with each other.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Okay, I see Andrew's back on the line who called earlier from Denver. And, Andrew, I only have about 30 seconds to give you, but thank you for calling back. You have used Score yourself.
I had used Score about 35 years ago when I was originally starting my businesses back in New York.
All right.
I found it extremely inspiring to speak with retired executives who had extreme caches of knowledge and wisdom.
And there's no replacement for experience, and if you don't have it yourself,
it's funny. I've come to learn that with age, the older the individual, and the more wisdom they have, and love to be able. There's nothing like sitting down with an 85-year-old successful business executive and just hearing all the greatness that comes to you.
All right, thank
Very
you.
Inspiring.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm out of time. I got to let you go, but thank you for listening this morning, especially from Denver, Colorado. We appreciate you being out there. And he's right about that. And judging by looking at you, you got lots of wisdom, don't you, Rich?
Oh, yeah, but I'm not 85.
I'm just teasing with you. But that's where SCORE is so valuable, the experience that you guys bring to the table. And John is proof of that.
John is proof of that. I've been trying to get him to join, but he's holding out.
Well, he's got his own,
that's what he says.
But there's always the future. And, folks, once again, if you would like to find out more about SCORE, if you would like to be a member, a mentor, or if you would like to get the mentoring, go to orlando.score.org or give them a call at 407-420-4844 or just drop by Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, over at Fashion Square. Go in to see the facility. See for yourself what they have to offer. It's free. You don't need to make a commitment. It's the best deal in town.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank 660 The Answer for this community service time.
Absolutely. Folks, that's going to do it for today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Chris.
See you, John.
Bye, everybody.